what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys. What are you talking about?
Hey, everybody. Welcome into The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast. This is episode 166. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, the King of Canada, Mr. Canada, the man who chops down trees in the Great White North, Burley of Burleman Gaming. Burley, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you, Expat?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Actually, my daughter's moving out next week. She starts university in April, so she'll be moving out to Tokyo, which is from where I live. It's about 40 minutes outside from where our bullet train here in Kitakanto is. So yeah, I mean, not so far, but yeah, she's moving out, so busy getting her stuff ready to move and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna miss her a little.
So I was gonna say,
Yeah.
when next week do I got to fly down for the party?
Yeah.
You're gonna rage.
Hold off on buying that ticket, dude. Yeah. So, and we have the King of Madeira Island when it comes to Final Fantasy Rebirth and all things Final Fantasy. Yeah, Fubu.
I'm just
87.
gonna
Fubu, how you doing?
just gonna say this for Fryman 14. Shamander. Just that one. I'm doing great. Great to be back here. Been gone. I thought you were gonna say the Ghost of Madeira because I haven't shown up in a long time.
Okay, I'll say that next time, man. Yeah, I'll do
The
it.
Ghost of Madeira, like Ghost of Tsushima, but Ghost of Madeira. But yeah, very happy to
Rise
to
of
be
the
here.
Madeira Ronin. Yeah.
Oh, I need to watch Shogun. Everyone watching this after the podcast, not right now. After the podcast, go watch Shogun because that looks great. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I'll be
wearing
talking
this.
about that later. So yeah.
Oh, great. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that then. But yes, I'm using the. I don't know what this is because this is not a robe. This is not a poncho. I don't know what this is, but it's something from Pokemon, and I love it. And it's really warm, and I look cute as fuck. Sorry, I had to curse there, but I look cute.
That's all right. Man. That's all right.
But yeah,
Yeah, good.
yeah, doing great, man. Just great to be
Nice.
here and great to talk. I'm happy to talk about Final Fantasy.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the Final Fantasy and the state of Japanese gaming. And with us today, the best person to help us talk about those things. He's making his second appearance on the Arena. Genki Gamer. Genki, welcome back into the Arena, man. It's great to have you back. And yeah, talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as well as the state of gaming in Japan. Thanks for coming on in, man.
Oh, hey guys. Thanks for having me on the show today. Yeah, thanks to Expert for inviting me. Yeah, it'd be fun to talk to you guys about Final Fantasy and and Japan as well. Or things in
Yeah.
Japan. Yeah, so yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you've been busy lately, man. You've been on like a ton of podcasts and talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and all that. And yeah, it's like you and I were in the same time zone. So yeah, it's a early morning for us. But yeah, we're ready to talk games. And before we get into it though, Genki, I want to ask you a question. Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here. What was your first console ever?
First one ever was Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay. Super Famicom. Okay, yeah, Super
Yeah, yeah.
Nintendo. Yeah.
And
Okay.
the first game I had was Street Fighter 2.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Nice.
That's a
Nice.
good one.
Yeah, I didn't have the game console before that, but like I did play like the original Nintendo or console, Nintendo Entertainment System, but like I was at friends' houses and stuff.
Cool. Cool. Okay. Next question. For a Japanese game, tell us a game that you really were anticipating to play, but then when you played it, your expectations just plummeted, and it was like, man, this game was terrible. Has there ever been a game that you played like that where you were really highly anticipating to play it and you were looking forward to it, and then you played it and you were just disappointed with it?
I honestly can't think of anything. Like
I see.
most
I,
games I'm hyped for, like I
Uh-huh.
think I know about, but
Uh-huh.
maybe when I was younger, like there was some games, but I can't recall them at the moment.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
I'm gonna answer this for Genki. There's only one answer. There's only one correct answer. It's Final Fantasy 12. That's It was Final Fantasy 12.
Okay.
That's the one for me.
Okay. Well, it's not a Japanese game, but for me, it was probably because I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan, as everybody that watches this podcast knows. I think probably the biggest Assassin's Creed game that I was disappointed with the most was Unity, especially when it came out. I mean, just the facial images and all of the glitches that were going on in the game at the beginning. I just I didn't like that. So yeah.
Oh, I just thought of one, like kinda a
Sure.
recent one, like a Chocobo Racing or Chocobo GP for the Switch.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
I thought it would be
Okay.
really good, like a Mario Kart but with chocobos.
Uh-huh.
Just copy the Mario Kart system and put
Uh,
all the Final Fantasy stuff in it, but then they did all this like microtransaction stuff, and like Cloud was like a DLC character, and they just messed it up. Even though the gameplay is kind of fun, but the game system they messed it up, so that's kind of disappointing.
okay.
But yeah, but in Rebirth, the Chocobo GP is really good. So
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
Chocobo
I
Racing.
love
So,
it.
yeah.
I'll throw it at you, Burley. A game that you were really anticipating, you were really looking forward to playing, and then your expectations were just killed when you started playing it.
Mine is in the same series as yours, Expat. It is an Assassin's Creed game.
Uh-huh.
It was Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Because like
interesting.
I'll be honest, like like the first bit I didn't mind, but like more and more you dealt with Connor, and then when a certain character gets killed off midway through the game, is like I couldn't be bought. Like I remember
Uh-huh.
finishing it and be like, this is the ending, and this is the ending they're giving to Desmond. And all this, they build all this up,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was just like this. It was like you built all this up, you milked it out with so many games, and this is what you're gonna end with. I was like,
Yeah. 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 Connor, yeah, he was kind of I mean, he was a character that I thought had potential, but just nothing really came of him, unfortunately. So just one and out basically. But yeah, of course, my favorite Assassin's Creed game of all is Odyssey. Of course, yes, Odyssey. But yeah, Cassandra's in everything now. So
Yeah, she was a fan favorite.
yeah, definitely. All right, we got a great show for you. Of course, the state of Japan when it comes to gaming. We're going to be talking about that. So with Genki and I, it's kind of the meeting of the minds and talking about Japan and gaming. First, we're going to be talking about Nintendo. And then, of course, we're going to move on to Persona and then on to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, of course. We're going to be talking about that as well. So, and then, of course, the Xbox, of course, partners preview. They had one of those shows this week. We're going to talk about that as well as the Capcom highlights event. So day one. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then we'll just jump into all things Japan when it comes to gaming. So let's go ahead and jump into the first story. So guys, Nintendo, they're the king of the hill here in Japan, right, Genki? I mean, that's what
Oh
it's all
yeah,
about. It's all about Nintendo out here. The Switch is everywhere.
they
Every,
dominate Japan.
everybody's anticipating, the Switch 2 or whatever they're going to call it whenever it comes out next year. So, but Nintendo is on a hunting spree now when it comes to emulators. so Nintendo Switch emulator Yuzu will utterly fold and pay $2.4 million to settle its lawsuit. So this is from over at The Verge. So just over a week ago, Nintendo sued the developers of the leading Nintendo Switch emulator Yuzu for, quote, facilitating piracy at a colossal scale, end quote. Now it appears that Yuzu will give up without a fight and give Nintendo everything it wanted, and it affects the Nintendo 3DS emulator Citra too. So, according to a joint filing, Tropic Haze has not only agreed to pay $2.4 million to Nintendo, also says Yuzu is quote primarily designed to circumvent and play Nintendo Switch games, end quote. The company agrees to be permanently enjoined from working on Yuzu, hosting Yuzu, distributing Yuzu's code or features, hosting websites and social media that promote Yuzu. Fubu, we can hear you typing. Okay. So, or doing anything else that circumvents Nintendo's copyright protection. So, yeah, Nintendo, they don't like being emulated, and it seems like they're going to go after pretty much anybody that's doing this emulation stuff. And yeah, I mean, Yuzu pretty much got caught red-handed, and they just folded. Genki, your thoughts on this story? I mean, emulation can be good in a sense, but what kind of precedence do you think is being set here? Do you think Nintendo's just going to go off on a shopping spree of finding all these other emulators that are emulating Nintendo games and take them to court?
Yeah, I think we know the notoriousness of the Nintendo ninjas and their
Yeah.
their legal powers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're just flexing their muscles in preparation for the Switch 2, because I think the emulation scene has gotten out of hand, especially when it comes to new games. But I think like emulation in general is good for like older games.
Oh yeah. Yes.
But if like people are pirating games before they're even out, which is happening all the time with Switch at the moment, then I can understand why Nintendo took these steps, and I think they just want to like make an example of someone, just to like, so people are not so emboldened to like do similar things with the next Switch as well. So I think it's just that, and there's two sides to it. Like, of course, it's a shame that the 3DS stuff is getting like shut down, because that stuff is like really hard to like access, considering they closed down the 3DS eShop already. So I guess there's two ways you can look at it. Like, it's bad. They shouldn't be emulating or pirating the new games, but for preservation, then that's where it's like becomes a bit of a different issue.
Burley, your thoughts on this with Nintendo?
Well, Nintendo, I don't think is going to be going after every emulator. There are some other smaller emulators for like Game Boy and stuff like that. Places are like, you know what, we're just going to take everything offline, just to save our ass. But I think it's really in the case of this one, because some more info has come out that one of the people that was working on Yuzu was one of the ones that got some like copies of Tears of the Kingdom early and was putting the file out, and was also putting it behind a paywall, behind a Patreon, to be like, give us money and I will get you it. And so, Nintendo had to do that in this. It sucks that this emulator is going away, because, hey, I like it to game preservation, preserving old games and all that in games, but it was also nice for games that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that ran like absolute trash on the Switch. You could have it running better on the Steam Deck if you wanted to. So,
Fubu, your thoughts on
this? It's one of those things that why tempt the beast? Nintendo loves litigation. They love to go to courts. They like all of that. You're just poking the bear. You're just poking the bear to attack you, and that's new information. What Burley just told us about the Legend of Zelda copies. I had no idea. Putting even behind the paywall. Come on, that's not good. They were asking for it. But then I agree with Genki when it comes to game preservation, like the 3DS. I think that having the emulation would be good, because they stopped with the store, and you can't get games online. I already mentioned this. I don't know when, but I talked about this on the podcast, that I do have a copy of Metal Gear Solid 3DS the version they did for the 3DS.
Yeah.
And I got it for like 14 euros. And when it was announced that the store was going to be closed, that game secondhand market just doubled it. It went from 14 to 30 euros. And I don't know how it is right now because there's no way to get that game online, only physically. And it is a rare game, to be honest. It is a rare game. It is very sad to me, affecting the older games, because again, emulation is something really important. And we're going to talk about Persona later, but my first contact with Persona wasn't Persona 3 like a lot of people probably on the West. I was looking for RPGs, and in Japan, Persona 1 was a very big game. And I played Persona 1 using PlayStation emulation. I played that. I think I played the second one. There was there's other games, Japanese games, that there is no way to get here to the West or to Europe. The only way to play is with the emulation. So it is not the older games, at least it's a way to experience new things that usually wouldn't get here. So I'm happy what happened with the Switch, because they shouldn't push their luck like that. But I'm sad regarding the 3DS. I think it's going to hurt. But also, and to conclude, I think they might release some 3DS games soon on the Switch, or maybe for the Switch too, because Burley doesn't agree with me, because when they closed Emo Paradise, where they had a lot of emulators, the Game Boys and stuff like that, the ROMs, they closed that, and then soon after they released everything on the virtual console on the Switch.
They
released some stuff on the Switch. Nintendo, is really bad with releasing their stuff on the virtual console on the Switch Online.
You know what I mean.
And when it comes to game preservation, though, that's, I mean, not just emulation, but I mean, just here in Japan, and Genki can attest to this as well. I mean, you go, especially out to Akiba, you can go to the retro gaming stores like Super Potato and places like that, and you see a ton of Nintendo games from way back, from the Famicom, Super Famicom, the first, Sega as well. I mean, all those different games that they're preserving out there. And I just wonder how that's going to be with Switch games and that moving forward. Genki, what do you think? I mean, how long can these retro game stores survive? I mean, because like I said, I've been in Japan over 20 years now, and I've seen a lot of these gaming stores dwindle and close up. I mean, Super Potato, and you see like the Satayas and the Book Offs and things like that. They still have, some retro games in there, but how much longer do you think we'll see those?
Yeah, I think, as you said, they are starting to close down. I especially noticed Sataya is closing a lot of stores recently in Japan. And there were places where you could buy like used games and like rent DVDs and the movies and stuff like that, and manga. You can even rent manga at Sataya. But yeah, in terms of like the retro scene, I think it's more like the used market is still popular. But in like places like Akihabara, I think like there's been like an influx of like tourists coming in and buying up all the used games, so the prices have shot up like crazy in the last 2 years. They probably like doubled the price in the last since they reopened the borders in Japan. And I wonder how much stock they will have, because the stock doesn't last forever. So I think like they would run out of stock soon, maybe.
And it's interesting you say that about the manga shops and mangas, especially. I mean, now there's more manga stores, manga shops than there are gaming shops now. They're just, I mean, the retro game stores have kind of dwindled, whereas the manga shops have just, took off, which is interesting there. So, but
I think the anime scene has become more acceptable mainstream. Before it was like more taboo, like you're hiding your passion for anime. I mean, it's still like that for games. You still kind of have to hide your passion for games in Japan. But it's been more accepted in the public with anime and manga recently. So that's
good stuff.
I was going to say, except Dragon Ball. Everyone loves Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the creator, who passed away. Yeah, so
Oh yeah, and with
that
the
was big news.
Yuzu thing, I just want to say, like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
the big mess up was like doing the Patreon and like so clearly
Yeah.
and obviously profiting from the thing. That
Yeah.
makes Nintendo's case like super like easy
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make. Like, I think that was like a big misstep in terms of them getting shut down. Yeah, because
Right.
they were clearly like profiting off like piracy, like
Right.
through that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's move on from Nintendo and let's talk about Atlas and Sega. Of course, we got the Persona series, which is very big out here in Japan as well. Not as big as Final Fantasy, but yeah, Persona is still doing very well out here. So it's now sold 22.6 million units. And a lot of that has to do, especially with the Persona 5 series. And of course, now Persona 3 Reload is out. And actually, we're getting new DLC for Persona 3, which is interesting. And what's interesting about this is, the hype for Persona 6, which is probably going to be announced this year and probably coming out next year at some point. We've a shout out to our friend Lady Virgilia over on YouTube as well. She's a big Persona player and fan, and we talked about that together as well. But 22.6 million units. So I'll go ahead and read a little bit of this for you. So this is from over at Gaming Bolt. So as the Persona series popularity continues to grow, so too does its sales, with Atlas having recently announced another new major commercial milestone for the beloved role-playing series. The developer has announced that as of March 5th, the Persona series has sold a total of 22.6 million units worldwide across all platforms, including all mainline games and their many spin-offs and re-releases. Of course, that number did receive a recent boost with Persona 3 Reload, which launched last month, sold 1 million units in its first week, becoming Atlas's biggest launch to date. Atlas has also released a special trailer for the remake to celebrate the series' latest sales milestone. So goes on. But I mean, Genki, I'll start with you on this one again. When it comes to the Persona series, I mean, it's interesting how this series has been so popular, especially because it deals with high school age students. And from what we've heard from leakers about Persona 6 is that it's still going to be a high school type of setting. But your thoughts on the Persona series and its success?
Oh yeah, I'm really happy to see it doing so well, and it's really taken off worldwide as well, which I'm really happy about. And yeah, selling like over 22 million um overall, it's like really good. And yeah, it's just really like exploded in the last few years, especially in the West, because yeah, before like Persona 5, it was more like Persona 4 was quite popular in the West, but then like with Persona 5, it really exploded. And yeah, that's just continuing now, which is really good to see. And yeah, I hope the Persona 6 can also do really well. And I think it'll be multi-platform because Sega's like their whole strategy is like multi-platform, like
Yeah,
international worldwide release now.
yeah.
So that's like a core pillar of their business. That's what they said. So I expect it to come to all platforms when it does release. Kind of like the metaphor game that they're having.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I look forward to it. And yeah, I think yeah, the whole series is known for like the high school thing. So I think it's good that they continue that.
Yeah, I kind of thought because like the sixth element in the periodic table is carbon, and so I was thinking, if it's carbon, then maybe it's going to deal with the automobile industry in a sense, and maybe it's going to be like, say, like Toyota, or say like in Nagoya or something like that, and it would be like Kaishin, like company people this time, but apparently not. I guess it's still going to be in a high school setting. Maybe it'll be a little bit different in the sense that it'll be high school students and then adults, like intertwined together, so to speak. But I don't know. But I'm really really happy for the series and where it is and where it's going. Yeah, Fubu, your thoughts on the Persona series and this milestone of units sold?
The milestone, I have to say that, like I was mentioning before about the emulator, if the West had enjoyed Persona 1 and 2, I think the sales would have been even better, because Persona 1 and 2 are solid games. Not as good as 3, 4, and 5, and probably what 6 is going to be, but they were very solid games. And if it was a very well-known series from the start, of course, the sale numbers from 3, 4, and 5 would be even bigger, and it wouldn't be the surprise that it is nowadays. About that carbon that you were thinking about cars, think about it. It will have cars, and to reach that parallel universe, they need to get inside the DeLorean and go 88 miles per hour, and they boom, they go to the.
Okay.
No, I'm not joking. No, when it comes to these games, I rather not know too much, because I like them so much, and I like to be surprised. That's what I did with the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I didn't search for anything at all to be surprised with the game. And Persona is a series that I love. Like I said, I already played since the first one. The third one was great. I think my favorite is the fourth. I remember playing the Gold Edition on the Vita for so many hours. It was really good. I remember I was working the graveyard shift. I had nothing to do, so I had my Vita with me, and I would play Persona. It was such good memories with this series. So I'm very happy with this milestone, and I hope that the next game will put 10 more million copies in. I really hope that.
Burley, your thoughts on these numbers and with the Persona series moving forward?
Yeah, it's really good, and it's shown that the actions they have been taking over the last couple of years have been paying off. So good on them, and it is nice to see. And like I haven't, like, I've gotten into the Persona series, but I haven't fully got in because I have some mild issues with some of the stuff of the games. But they are great games, so it's nice to see. Yeah, they're gonna stay that high school student trope for a while. It's worked for them, and it's a huge for a cultural thing with Japan, these Japanese games, so they're going to stick with that, and they're going to ride it out. My only thing is this rumor of them putting out 6 next year. Does that mean we're finally done of milking 5? Because they've milked 5 in so many. Come on, where's the Persona 5 dating sim game? Where's the
I think I think that's going to be finished up pretty soon, Burley. Yeah, I think they're done with milking Persona 5. I think 6 is right around the corner. My question to you, Genki, is, okay, high school students in Japan. Now, I teach elementary and junior high school students, and obviously they're probably more into, Pokemon and Monster Hunter and things like that. But when it comes to Persona versus Final Fantasy, a high school student, which of those game franchises would they more likely be to play? The Persona series or the Final Fantasy series for high school age students?
Oh, for high school age people?
Yeah.
Probably depends. I'm not sure how, like, probably Persona, maybe, because it's more relatable. But maybe if they like online games, maybe they play 14 or something. I don't know. I don't know how popular 14 is with the younger audience, but probably in terms of like the mainline games, they'll probably be more popular with or maybe with the high school age. They'll probably Persona. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too, because especially Persona, because it relates to them more, especially high school age teenagers, and the social problems that are addressed in those games. I think it would be, it would fall more on the lines of what they're going through in their real life situations. So I think, probably Persona would be something more that they would play. But then it also comes down to, what do you have? You know, do you have a
Yeah.
PlayStation? I mean, if you have a PlayStation, you're probably going to play Final Fantasy. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. But I would have to say Persona on that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I doubt too many high school students have a PlayStation 5.
yeah,
I doubt it.
yeah,
That's
yeah. They
right.
'Cause it's so
probably from a few
expensive.
years back, they probably have a Switch, you know. But
Yeah, they probably have
yeah,
a Switch, and yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, interesting. All right. Well, speaking of Final Fantasy 14, that's coming to Xbox, and we had the Xbox partner preview. So I'm going to go ahead and play some of that here now. So let me go ahead and get that going, and let's talk about some of the games that they mentioned. So the first game that I'm gonna read off here. This is from. Let me go ahead and put the link up for the 30-minute Xbox preview that they had. So this first game, which is interesting, a lot of people are saying it's kind of like this is like the Xbox's version of Aloy now. Kind of course, Anya Chalotra. She is in the Witcher series on Netflix. She is playing the main character here. It's called Unknown 9 Awakening. So we got a new gameplay trailer. So from Reflector Entertainment. So yeah, what do you guys think of this? Looks pretty interesting. I'm excited to see, more of this game. But what do you guys think? Burley, I'll start with you. What do you think?
Oh, this looks so cool with the whole sucking and using the spirits and stuff.
Mhm.
That this looks like this is gonna be a lot of fun, and just love that walking up, having the little shield as they're just shooting at you,
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
so that way you can go up and just hit them real hard.
Yeah.
And then just the taking over body possession that reminds me of Dishonored.
Mhm.
This looks really cool. It's like, okay, I got to keep my eye on this game.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Yeah. Genki, your thoughts on this? Like the Xbox version of Aloy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen this game because I missed the show because it was at like 3 a.m.
Yeah. Me
But
too. I had to watch it later. Yeah.
but yeah, it looks cool. It looks like a cool game, and yeah, it looks really interesting. And yeah, Bandai Namco seem to be involved, so that's
Yeah.
really cool as well. So
Yeah.
it looks
Definitely.
like a cool game.
Definitely. All right. So next up, a game called Sleight of Hand. So from famed creator Joshua Boggs. So the developer behind the mobile game Framed announced his next project, Sleight of Hand. So like his previous project, Sleight of Hand is a noir game with stealth gameplay. Players control Lady Luck, a private detective using dark magic to take down her former coven. So Sleight of Hand will be released on Xbox and PC sometime next year. It will also be available on Microsoft's game service Game Pass. Fubu, what are your thoughts on this one? Sleight of
It
Hand.
looks interesting. Yeah, it looks interesting. I do like a very well crafted stealth game. I do enjoy those. But I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of the Xbox preview. How many of these games are coming to PlayStation? I really want to know that. But
Probably
yeah,
a lot of them. Yeah.
yeah, probably. I don't know if they said anything. No, I just wanted to leave this little jab here just for the laughs. But yeah, I didn't see a lot this week, as I'll explain later. But so far, the first game, I'm a fan of the actress. She's in The Witcher. She's a very good
Anya
actress.
Chalotra. Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when she was first announced if she was going to be the right person to play Yennefer, but yeah, she's really good. She's really good.
Oh yeah.
And the game looks really good. It's interesting, like Mario said on the comment. Assassin's Creed meets Middle Earth looks very interesting. I did like it. Let's see this one. This is a space game. As you know, I'm usually not the biggest fan of space games, but that seems like a lot of exploration. And
it's called The Altars. The Altars.
The Altars.
Yeah.
Looks nice. Genki, are you going to buy an Xbox to play this or not really?
Oh, I already have Xbox Series S, but
really?
But I'm not sure
Okay.
about these games. Yeah, I'm not too into some of them. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, not definitely not these first two. I won't be picking up, but maybe some of the later ones that were in the show, like the one from Capcom and stuff. Will be
Yeah.
checking out.
Yeah, well, one of the games that was in the Capcom highlights is out actually in this preview. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to that one so that we could watch that. So I've got the link below, so you can go ahead and check out everything that was announced over here. So let me go ahead and move this forward.
Okay, while he's searching for Genki, I need to ask this because Expat keeps telling that Xbox is not a big brand for the Japanese gamer, and why do you have an Xbox then?
Oh,
What's
no,
the curiosity?
that's just me. Xbox is not very popular in Japan. They don't really
Yeah.
market it and anything like that. So it's very niche. But me,
Mhm.
I was grew up in the UK, and
Yeah.
I had the original Xbox. I was at the original Xbox launch in Japan when I was a kid. So I do like Xbox. I didn't get Xbox One because there was like no appealing games on that. But
Okay.
like at the beginning of this gen, Xbox had all the Final Fantasy games on Game Pass, and later they still only have this only place on console. You can play the FF13 trilogy,
Mhm.
and yeah, games like Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey. I wanted to play again, so I picked one up for that. And
Good argument.
Forza Horizon is really good too. So I enjoy Forza as well.
Yeah. You know, when I got my Steam Deck, I was between Starfield and Forza, and I chose Starfield. I should have gotten Forza because Forza looks
Oh, I
so
can't
fun
say
to
anything
play.
about Starfield. Yeah, Starfield doesn't look appealing to me personally, but I'm sure it's decent. But yeah, Forza is awesome. Like
Yeah.
this is it's really fun.
Well, and Starfield just got an update too, so people are talking about that a lot as well. So, but yeah, so Kunitsugami, I think, yeah. So this is the first Berserker Kazan here. So Kunitsugami was the other game from the Capcom showcase on the first day that's actually in this showcase here. So let me go ahead and get to this here. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward a little more.
This style game looks quite cool as well, like really interesting. And
Mhm.
like it's exploring African like folktale and African
Yeah,
culture and
yeah.
music. So I think it's quite a cool like original game from EA Originals. So yeah, that's a game I'd also it's like a Metroidvania style game.
Yeah.
That's one I'd like to try as well. And yeah, I'm happy that Xbox can promote that one as well. Yeah, that was
Yeah, the
cool.
first Berserker. That's what it's yeah. So
Yeah, this heavily gives me Prince of Persia: Lost Crown vibes,
Yeah.
yeah,
which is great.
yeah. Cool stuff. All right, let me go ahead and move it on here. Let's get to Kutsugami here. Let me go ahead and move it here. So also the Frostpunk 2 on July 25th. So pre-order today. Okay, so next up is the Kunitsugami. Okay, so this is the one that's also shown at the Capcom event. So when we get to the Capcom stuff, I'm going to go ahead and skip that because we're going to be talking about Dragon's Dogma 2 that they showed off there. So, yep, this was actually revealed at last summer's Xbox Games Showcase. So it's Capcom's upcoming action game. Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess was on the event here where it received new details, a release window, and latest trailer. So, yeah, fun stuff here. So you got the main Tori there, so the main gate. So, yeah, Burley, your thoughts on Kunitsugami? Yeah, Path of the
Well,
Goddess.
I'm glad we finally got to see more because this I remember when we got the original teaser trailer, you saw very next to nothing. It was just pretty much a cutscene, and it was like it looks great. Now this looks so cool with the whole, like brush sword mechanic, and changing the world and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is definitely a game I will be keeping my eye on as we get more and more info.
Yeah. Yeah. Genki, what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh yeah, it looks super cool. I really like the art style and like
Mhm.
the colors and vibrancy.
Yeah.
I was surprised to find out it's like also like a strategy game. I didn't
Mm.
know that before this
Yeah.
reveal, but it looks interesting. And yeah, I'm a fan of like strategy games like Fire Emblem and stuff like that. So
Right.
um, and was it Valkyrie? Was it Valkyrie? The Valkyrie games.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a fan of those kind of games. So maybe it's a bit similar. And yeah, I definitely want to try it out.
Yeah. Fubu, what are your thoughts on this?
Sorry, I was muted. I had no idea about this game. I'm loving it, and it's giving me Onimusha vibes. I don't know why, because I don't know if a lot of people know, but there's a Game Boy Advance tactical RPG of Onimusha, and it's giving me. Of course, it's not as well crafted as this one, but it's giving me those Onimusha vibes with the
Yeah.
with the demons. I'm liking this.
When they
I'm
first showed
very
it,
surprised.
I thought it was Onimusha at the Xbox show. I was like, "Is this Onimusha? It's coming back." I
Yeah.
was like, "Come on!" But yeah, it does. It
I-
has Onimusha vibes, like with the demons
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And if you guys haven't tried, you can use an emulator to play Game Boy Advance on the Emusha. You're gonna like it. It's a really good game.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but we do need another Onimusha game. I think Capcom totally forgot about that franchise. And they could reboot it. I think it's more than enough time. They can start from the zero.
Yeah, I think
think
they
they could-
probably are planning something because, like, they have the anime, right? The anime came out
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
So I hopefully do think they are hopefully doing something with it.
And they can do it because the original Onimusha was very similar to Resident Evil when it came to gameplay. It was the tank controls. I think they could make it more. You guys remember Metal Gear Revengeance? Yeah, I think.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
if they made it on that style, but instead
Yeah,
of all the
from
cyborgs,
Platinum.
demons, from Platinum Games, I think it would be a killer game. And they could start from the beginning and then different weapons, elements, all those types of things. I think it would be great.
Yeah. It's interesting, as you mentioned, Fubu, about how many of these games are going to come to PlayStation. I would say probably 80% of them will be coming to PlayStation. Most of
I
them
hope
will.
this one's on PlayStation.
Oh, it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this one is on PlayStation and PC
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But the Game Pass deal does definitely help with like these kind of smaller, more
Yes.
like experimental games, like new
Yes.
IP as well. So it's good they got the Game Pass deal to help the game as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So, of course, next up is the Capcom highlights, and so we're going to show Dragon's Dogma because that was one of the two main games here shown. So, yes. So let me go ahead and get the link for you all there. So let me get that there. There we go. All right. So coming soon, guys. Yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2. So yeah, excited for that. So Capcom. Yeah, Capcom's been in the news a lot this week, and we're going to talk about another story after this related to Capcom. But when it comes to giving employees and new employee salary increases, we're going to talk about that. But could this be a game of the year contender like Baldur's Gate 3? What do you guys think? Genki, I already know your game of the year, and Fubu's, of course. But what do you think? I mean, could this steal some of the mojo from Final Fantasy? Yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah, Genki. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's like the previews were like really glowing, and I think for me personally, like nothing can beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like nothing imaginable can beat. Yeah, that could come out this year. But in terms of like fans of this game and this kind of gameplay, I think it will be up there for like those kind of people. This will be their game of the year for like people who like this kind of combat, this kind of game. So yeah, I think it will review very well in the media.
Yeah. So they introduced the character creator and storage tool. This innovative tool allows players to design their RSN and main pawn in advance, ensuring a seamless transition of their creations into the full game upon its release on March 22nd. Burley, your thoughts? Dragon's Dogma 2. Could it steal the mojo from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? And could it be another Baldur's Gate 3 type of situation this year?
It could be a Baldur's Gate 3 because there is a passionate fan base on this, because the first game came out, like 10 years ago. I've been playing through the first game. I'm really enjoying it, but from seeing what they have done and with 2, it's like, wow, this is like night and day compared to 1 and 2. And just seeing all this stuff, and like they're changing stuff up, fixing stuff that wasn't exactly the greatest back in the day, and updating it to modern times is great. And it's so awesome that they are just saying, hey, here's the character tool. Create it so you can get your character, your main character, and your first pawn, your main pawn, to just be ready to go. So that way, when the game launches, you launch the game for the first time, it puts them in there, and you're just ready to go and play. Like, I don't think we've ever seen that before, where they're like, here you go, here's the character creator tool already. You can get that done and already be set up. Like that is awesome. And all these previews and all these people, like all these outlets, are saying this game is like a 10 or high 9s. So it's like, cannot wait to play it myself.
Yeah. I was really impressed by the previews, as you said, and like how expansive it is. And at TGS last year, I got to play for like only 20 minutes. But what impressed me the most was like how like open the open world is. Like usually when you go into a town, it like funnels you through like a little corridor or like a doorway. But with Dragon's Dogma 2, like the town's just there, and you can just seamlessly just go into the town and meet all the people. And so like, yeah, it felt really like expansive, and like the open world was just massive. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I just want to say, Genki, yeah, you played 20 minutes of it, but you probably waited for like more than an hour to get to play it, though, right? For TGS. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but for Dragon's Dogma, but I probably waited like 30 minutes. It wasn't too bad. But
that's cool.
For Final Fantasy, I was waiting like an hour.
Oh
like a few hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, those. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But those TGS stories, yeah, it's good stuff. But all right, Fubu, what are your thoughts? You're Mr. 20 out of 10 when it comes to a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth review. Does this game have any chance of stealing the mojo of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and could be a Dragon, or could be a Baldur's Gate 3 type of situation this year? Go for it.
I'm really thinking that it's going to be a surprise. It's going to depend a lot how they do the world. The world is a very big factor, and I think, for example, okay, Final Fantasy. We have to talk about Final Fantasy. One of the good things about Final Fantasy is the fact that the world is very alive. It's very fun to traverse. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of good things, and yeah, if they have a very good, if they have a good open world that is fun, I think this game is going to be a blast. They need to have good fast travel mechanics, because we already talked about this. The fast travel mechanics is really important for me, because I don't have enough time to travel from point A to point B. So they need to make the world interesting to travel. And if they think that the world is not interesting to travel, they need to make a fast travel option, so that people will compare the world of Final Fantasy with this world. And I think that's going to be one of the deciding factors to make this game good. About the character creation, it's really good, because, you know, like a lot of people always memed that they download the game and the first 2 hours is to make the character. So right now you just make the character and go. Me, I don't take that much time. I do one type of character only. I make an orc. You know, I just make a green orc, and and I call them. Wait for it. And I call them Orcasm. That's what I call them.
He just Genki. He just made our X and Twitter and whatever you want to call it clip for the episode right there. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, moving on from that, Capcom. Talking about Capcom, Of course, increasing salaries in Japan by more than 25%. So, Burley and I, we talked about this a lot about, the fact that a lot of the problems in the gaming industry now when it comes to like, letting go of employees and, uh, 80% of the workforce that was let go, last year's already been, met this year. Uh, we talked to Burley and I, we talked a lot about, Nintendo and back in the day when Iwata-san was, in charge, and he took a salary pay cut so that he could retain employees and keep morale up. And so Capcom is now doing this. It seems like Sega is also going to be doing this. So, bringing in new employees fresh out of the universities, they're going to be getting increases in their pay as well. I think the starting wage now is going to be about 30,000 yen, I think it is, Genki, which is about $2,000 a month. So, I mean, that's a good incentive for those that are coming in, and as well as those that have been in the system that that are continuing on with their passion and the work that they're doing. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the Capcom story here, and in general, what's going on in Japan when it comes to game developers and these companies now deciding to give increases in pay?
Oh yeah, I think it's really good that there's a lot of different Japanese companies announcing that. Like yeah, as you said recently, Sega did it, and Koei Tecmo, and
Yep.
I think a few others did it as well, and
Yep.
in the last year or two. And yeah, Capcom, they're doing really well because not only are they increasing the salaries, but they're also putting out really good games
Yes.
consistently.
Yep.
So that's really impressive to see.
Yep.
And in terms of why it's happening, I think one of the main reasons is, of course, there's like competition, like from like China or the West as well in terms of salaries.
Yeah.
But also like just the game industry pays in Japan is really low in the first place, so
Yeah.
like they have
Yeah.
to raise it like
Yes.
just to compete. So because I think yeah, like it has a quite a bad reputation, the games industry, in terms
Yeah.
of pay in Japan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they are
Yeah.
just so that makes it a bit more easier to increase salaries overall, which is a good
Yeah.
point. But yeah, I think it's good that they're increasing the salaries, and hopefully um, yeah, I think just the game development scene, it's a lot less expensive than in the US, and like salaries per
Yeah.
individual. Like in the
Yeah.
US, it's like 100,000 average
Yeah.
per
Yeah.
individual, but in
Yeah.
Japan, it's like probably less than half of that.
Probably about 50,000 at the high end. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And inflation is high here in Japan as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think
Yeah.
that's the main reason we're seeing like a lot of layoffs in the West, and then in Japan, there's not that many layoffs. But
Yeah.
but hopefully, yeah, things can improve, you know, everywhere.
Yeah. Well, particularly with the situation at Capcom next year, they have a big game coming out. The next Monster Hunter. And that, as you know, Genki, that sells like hotcakes out here.
Yeah,
So
Monster
yeah,
Hunter go crazy.
their Capcom is going to be making some bank
hmm
next year for sure. So they'll be able to pay those
Oh,
employees.
snap!
So
Yeah, and probably
yeah,
that'll be on the Switch too, as well, right?
yes, yeah,
So, oh,
that.
that's gonna really help push the sales of the Switch.
Oh
So,
yeah, that's going to
yeah.
be a launch title, I think. Yeah,
Oh,
one of the
wow.
launch titles. Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's probably what Nintendo were talking about, where they're like the report saying they're waiting for like the software to come together from like the third parties.
right.
So they're gonna have like an amazing launch if they have like Monster Hunter in Japan for launch. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
yeah, I feel bad for PlayStation because that's gonna eat into their sales even more.
yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely. Burley, your thoughts on Capcom and the situation with the pay increases out here?
Well, it's so great to see because you've got them willing to set up and do this. Capcom's been having some good years, and this year is going to be a great year for them with Dragon's Dogma 2 and some of their other games. Plus, you've got some more of the Street Fighter 6 DLC coming out this year. So they're going to be printing money. So it's good to see not only them increasing for starting salaries for new people coming in, but they're also increasing some people that have been there, giving them another increase. I think it's like 5%. So it's nice to see where they're doing this, a Japanese company standing behind their people,
Right.
and the people that work for them. Whereas you see this at before Activision got bought. Oh, great, we got all this. Let's fire 300 employees so that way I can get my bonus check higher. Because that's how a lot of the North American studios have been, the big ones have been like.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see a Japanese studio just being like, nope, we're going to try and increase it to get more people to come to us. The other people that have been here for a while, let's increase them. Let's make them happier. Yeah. And we're going to get better products out for it. And it's going to help us all. It's just going to be a big win move for us.
Yeah, I mean, it boosts morale. And I mean, and Genki can attest to this too. I mean, out here in Japan, you have the culture out here is still, the younger generation, it's changing a bit, but you still have the mentality of you join a company and you're pretty much expected to stay at that company through your career.
You're loyal to death.
Yes. It's like your family, basically. I mean, the younger generation is changing a bit. I mean, especially my son, he wants to open his own company, so good luck to him. But, I mean, yeah. Whereas in the West, I mean, people usually they change jobs every 2 or 3 years now. So, it's more expected of them to leave or to, in this type of situation to be let go and then find another job. Whereas that's, not very common out here in Japan for that. So Fubu, or AKA I won't say it. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, what are your thoughts on Capcom and raising salaries?
First of all, after weeks and weeks of saying this company is laying off, everyone's getting laid off. It's finally good to have such good news. I do love the Japanese mentality when it comes to this, because we already had the situation, and this is blasphemy because I don't remember the name of the man, but a few years ago, Nintendo was going through a very rough patch, and the president at the time, he already died a few years ago. I'm forgetting his name.
Iwata.
Genki. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say Genki-san, enlighten him on the name.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, it's Berlisa. So it's not something current. It's something that belongs to the Japanese culture, and I do love that, because you have to value people and not money. I don't enjoy the Japanese work ethic. I think you work way too much. You need to enjoy.
I'll be honest with you. Japanese people, and you probably don't know this, and Genki could probably attest to this. Japanese people have more time off, actually, more national holidays off than most countries in the West. Okay. There's like a national holiday out here almost every month, except for I think June.
That's because people don't take the paid vacations.
Right. They don't take it. They have it.
They get forced to. They have to get forced to.
Well, it's like I like one of the teachers I work with. He's like sick and white as a sheet the other day. I'm like saying, why don't you go home? He's like, I can't. And I'm like, oh, well, you can, but you won't. I mean, I understand what he's thinking. But that's just how it is out here. Yeah. So.
That's the thing, because in January I was sick like a dog, and I showed up on the podcast. I wasn't thinking clear, and I'm not good. I'm gonna stay in bed, and I stayed like 4 days in bed recovering. So that's the thing. We're not here to talk about work stuff. Let's talk about games. We're gonna have party. No, but I'm very happy, and this is also very important for the youth, because the young ones go to study, and they will always try to pick a field that they enjoy and that gives good working prospects. And if they leave university and they start working, and I don't think it's. By the way, that's my friend calling me a Snorlax. He's a great guy. Don't ban him, please. And if people are leaving university and starting working, getting a paycheck, it's going to inspire the youth to join the to study. First of all, to study and not to immigrate or something like that, and they can go to what they love for what they study, because there's nothing worse than studying to be a game developer and end up as a cashier or something like that. There's nothing worse than that. So I think it's really good and motivates the young ones to study more.
And with that, it's time to move on to our topic of the show.
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII and the state of Japanese gaming. We've been talking about gaming in Japan a lot already, but state of Japanese, gaming and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. When we have an expert here, and of course an orgasm of an expert here to discuss Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And Fubu87, of course, he did a review for the Arena Productions of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I'm going to show his gameplay of it as we discuss Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, as well as the series in general. So please enjoy as you watch Fubu's gameplay, and of course running around with chocobos and everything. So I'll throw this one at you first, Genki. Yeah, I know you think this is going to win Game of the Year, and it probably will. But maybe you haven't gotten this question yet on the other podcasts you've been on, but I'm going to throw it at you now. About the Final Fantasy VII series. When do you think we will get word about when Final Fantasy 17 will be coming, and will it be next gen? Will Final Fantasy 17, do you think, show up on the current gen of consoles, or will it be the next generation? Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. 17. Yeah, I think what we know so far is that it most likely won't be the same team that made 16 and making 17. They're going to have a new team making it, and it does seem like they're not too far in development of that game. So that kind of worries me. Like when it will come out, like it'll probably be like 4 or 5 years from now. So that would put it in the next generation. So
PlayStation 6 or
PlayStation 6, or like maybe it could be like both cross-gen, like PlayStation 5 and 6. So I think it will be it will definitely be on this next console, because especially with game development taking so long, especially with AAA games and being so expensive. It's going to be, because I think like Final Fantasy 16 costs like hundreds of millions. So 17 is going to probably cost hundreds of millions again, and probably take a long time as well. So
that's just crazy. I mean, like Spider-Man, what was it? Spider-Man 2 was like 315 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy,
Before marketing.
Before marketing. Yeah, I don't think Final Fantasy costs that much, but it's it's definitely like a AAA Western budget for 16. So probably 17 will be similar. So I don't. I think it's still quite far away, to be honest.
Yeah. So okay, Fubu. So you're running around on chocobos here. So what is your favorite aspect of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so far?
Well, first of all, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy, so we're going to get real. So let's get real here.
Let's get real then. Go for it.
Let's get real. The world. When Genki was here the first time, one of the questions I asked him was, how was the world? Because at the time, I was really worried how they were going to portray. Because the original game, it's very empty, and how would they portray? And the world is my favorite thing in this game. It's very alive, has a lot of different biomes. Just this area where I am, you have a rocky formation. That's when you're leaving Midgar. Then you have the grasslands. Then you have the swamp. And they were very careful on creating different biomes for the game for you to enjoy. So that you have different types of enemies. Sometimes it's a reskin, but those are special enemies. That's my favorite thing. Now, I'm going to shock all of you. Okay. I think Final Fantasy VII is one of the games of the year. But after completing the game, because yes, I've completed the game, I don't think it's yet the game of the year, because I found a lot of inconsistencies on the story when it comes to not the storyline itself, but the tone of the game. Because you're serious, then you're overly stupid, which was that meme that I showed you guys, Burley and Expat with Dread. I think Genki might know what I'm talking about because that was going around. I found that way silly, and it takes away from the emergency of what happens next. And I'm not going to say exactly what it is, because there was, then I think it has an identity crisis. The game doesn't know exactly what game it wants to be, because it's stole a lot of mini games from other games. Again, not trying to go with spoilers, but they stole mini games from Fall Guys. There's two games that's a rip-off of Fall Guys. There's one game that it's basically Rocket League, but you play with Red. Then you have the natural mini games from the original game, like the chocobo races, the motorbike sequence, the virtual combat simulator. Then you have the play. I feel like it's something like from Final Fantasy. I think it's 9. The story. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I didn't take note of this. When you start Final Fantasy 9, you have that fight at the beginning on the theater to entertain the people. I feel like the theater sequence was something like that. The chocobos that I showed you guys, it's a lot of chocobo hot and cold. They went to get several aspects of different games instead of maybe trying to make their own thing a little bit more unique. Like I said, it's one of the games of the year. The storyline is great. The combat is fantastic. They didn't need to move to touch a lot from the original game. Combat is fantastic. The world, like I mentioned, it's great. I had a great time. I finished the game. Now I'm completing a lot of things and exploring, because this week I stayed asleep like for 5 hours, because the other hours I was playing the game to finish it so I can talk about the game now. Like I'm not joking. I literally fell asleep at work. Like I was everything.
Oh God!
Everything was calm at work.
Fubu supervisors, you've been forewarned if you watch this episode.
No. They need proof. I could say I was lying, but anyway, I was just like this. Like I closed my eyes.
Check the tapes.
Then I got like this. I'll just. But yeah. And I didn't explore everything. I didn't explore the Gongaga region 100%, Cosmo Canyon, Nibelheim, because I was just speeding through the game. But I want to go back and explore, not because of my completionist thing. I just want to explore that world much more, because I feel like there's a lot of secrets that I need to find out. Again, one of the games of the year. We'll have to see the rest of the year, because, for example, Dragon's Dogma is coming out. It looks like it's going to be very strong. Maybe we'll have a surprise like Baldur's Gate 3 was last year, so we'll have to wait and see. But this game is great.
Burley, your thoughts?
I'm enjoying what I've played. I just have not had the time everyone else has to put into the game. I know you said it's taken from a lot of Final Fantasies and other games. I think it's more from because I do know some of the stuff like the Chocobo Hot and Cold. I think it's more just paying homage to some of these games from the great games from the series. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, would I like to see new stuff compared to taking back to the to some of the older stuff from other games? Yeah, I'd like to see brand new stuff, but it's fine from what I've seen to just paying homage, because hey, some people that have played a lot of these games in this series, great. But for other people, I like this Chocobo mini game. Is this in any of them? Oh, it actually came out in Final Fantasy 9. Maybe I should go back and play 9. So I'm seeing kind of that could be their thoughts on.
Could be. I think one of the only things they didn't rip off from famous games, it's
Mhm.
the glider from Legend of Zelda. I think that was the only thing that didn't, because you have the towers, and I don't know if I mentioned this part, but you have the towers. It feels like, for me, it felt like Assassin's Creed. Leah told me it was more like Zelda, but also reminds me of Far Cry. Like, there's a lot of to see, and at least they don't show the map. They don't take the fog away, but they showed the point of interest that you can go and visit. At least they didn't take the fog away. They could have done something different instead of towers. I don't know, just connect the network or something.
Wow, you do the network, then hey, people are gonna be, you're taken from Spider-Man with the whole satellite, like
Okay.
that is. But I'm glad to see that, and from what little I have played, that it's more open world, because like, yeah, with the first game running around Midgar and it was expanded, but at some points there it was just like, okay, you can expand this all you want. This is just like you're still trapped in kind of feeling.
Yeah.
My thing is, I'm curious to see with this whole thing, because they're doing the original story but changing and adding this other timeline kind of stuff and like this and that, and it's like I'm very curious to see how this is all going to play out in this game, and then when we eventually get part 3, where are they going to go with this? Because it was interesting in part 1, and the stuff that they open with part 2, it's like, huh, what the heck? And I know this isn't going to get answered till 16-20 hours later in the game when I get there.
Genki, your thoughts and anything you want to comment on Fubu and Burley's observations?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think their observations are really interesting, and yeah, I agree with like I think it's like a love letter to Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy fans, because it kind of takes elements from from a lot of the previous games, and like just puts into one game, into one package. Like there's elements from like Final Fantasy, all the past Final Fantasies, like Final Fantasy 13, and like Final Fantasy 10, and yeah, this is taking from a lot of past Final Fantasy games and putting those elements in. And yeah, the game is very mini game heavy. So like if you go to a new area or a new town, there's like always a new mini game to do. And it's kind of crazy how many mini games are in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of the mini games do take from other games, be it, yeah, like Rocket League or whatever, or like Fall Guys. Like yeah, but yeah, I enjoyed like the variety in the game, and just the open world is like really impressive to see those areas that you played like a long time ago being like recreated. That's really impressive. I think like in terms of game of the year, if we're comparing by open worlds, then I don't think it's so strong, because it's not like a proper open world. It's more like open areas that you have, and they are quite big and expansive, but there's not there are a few activities to do, but it's not as like it's not, they don't go crazy with the open world like a Zelda game, or like I think Dragon's Dogma 2 will be a much more interesting in terms of the open world experience. But as a complete package with like all the mini games, the like amazing combat, like the combat is so good. Like I'm really impressed. Like Remake was already like really good, and they've just improved upon all the elements of the combat in Rebirth. So yeah, I really love the combat in this game, like the synergy attacks and all the new things and elements they've added. So yeah, I think as an overall package, I think that's where it's like really strong for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. So talking about the third installment, Genki,
Mhm.
could that be the end of the generation, and then we get Final Fantasy 17 as the launch title for PlayStation 6? I'm thinking, I mean, how long do you think this will be in development between Rebirth and the third installment?
Okay, yeah, I think because they're just working on what they've already worked on,
Mhm.
and because it'll be releasing on the same, it will come out on PS5, the third one. It
Yeah.
won't be like, it could be cross-gen, but like the main platform will be PS5.
Mhm.
So I think we can expect a much shorter development cycle,
Mhm.
because they already said that a lot of the elements for the third game have already been created with Rebirth.
Mhm.
So we can expect like maybe like a 3-year dev cycle. So probably like 3 years from now, it will come out like 2027 or I think
Yeah.
2027 is the 30th anniversary of like the entire Final Fantasy 7 series.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna line it up with that.
That's when I played Final Fantasy 7, 1997. So
yeah.
So, yeah.
So like that seems like the perfect
That
release
was like
window.
I came to Japan the year previously, and
Oh, wow.
1996. Heisei Hachinnen, and it's like when I went into the 7-Elevens like in 1997, just pasted everywhere the posters for Final Fantasy 7. I mean, it was amazing time.
Oh, that's
It's,
amazing that you could experience and see that.
Oh yeah, it was
That was
amazing.
a
Yeah.
different era. But, yeah.
Oh, very, very different era, believe me. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
But I think so. Yeah, for the third game, it will. Yeah, definitely PS5. So it won't be a PS6 game. Don't worry about that. And it will be. There'll be a lot faster development because it's just taking what they've already made. And I think it'll just be connecting it together to make it more open world, so you can fly around in the high wind, and just like making it it'll probably be like a proper open world game, not just open area game.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah.
We actually have a good question from Leah here, or the co-host. Guys, you have time. Do you feel that this game is for everyone, or is this just a game for the fans of the franchise type of game?
Genki, I'll let you go off on that one there.
Okay. I think in terms of the gameplay and like the game, it's a game for everyone. But in terms of the story, like you're gonna struggle if you haven't if it's like you're new to the series, because there's just going to be like all these random characters popping up. You're like, who the hell is that? Constantly, and like the story will be a bit confusing. But in terms of a gameplay experience, I think it's anyone can jump in and then like just have fun with the game, and then if the series catches you, you can like go back and play the old ones. So that's what I would say. If it interests you and you like the gameplay and you want to get into the series, you can just jump in on this one and then catch up later. Whichever game like appeals to you the most is a good jumping in spot, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because the narratives and the story can be a little confusing, especially if you're new to the series, for sure. But
I agree. Gameplay wise, you can jump in on this. Gameplay wise, it makes sense, especially beginning gives you, if you need the tutorial refresher ups on materia and all that, they have that, and you can choose to do them or not. But story wise, I would not pick this. I would play the original 7, then go to remake, then Rebirth. There are other Final Fantasies that are better suited to jump into as your first.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the state of Japan when it comes to gaming, and of course now we've got Capcom's got Dragon's Dogma 2 coming out, and later this month we've got Rise of the Ronin, and I'm really excited for that. Actually, the game that I've been playing this week is Like a Dragon Ishin. Genki. So I wanted to get back into Ishin because that's set around the same time period, pretty much as Rise of the Ronin. So I'm really interested to see where they go with that game, particularly in the historical aspects of it all when it comes to the Boshin War and stuff like that. So I mean, how successful do you think Rise of the Ronin is going to be in Japan?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's kind of hard to say because automatically being on PS5 only kind of limits its reach. But I think the subject could be appealing. It depends how like accurate it is, and because like with Ghost of Tsushima, that was really popular game because of how accurate it was and how well it depicted that area and that period of time.
I have some nitpicks about it because I have a master's degree in Japanese history, and of course, yeah, some of the like the costume design and things like that were a little off, but other than that, I mean, it was a solid game, and
Yeah, I'd be
you know,
interested to hear
yeah.
your like comparison between that when it goes to Tsushima and Rise of the Ronin in
Well,
terms of like
I'll just say
historical accuracy.
I'll just say one thing. Of course, Ghost of Tsushima is based during the Mongol invasions. You know, whereas some of the costume designs were basically Azuchi Momoyama era. So they were about 300, 400 years off when it came to costume design.
Oh, okay.
But other
Yeah.
than that, I mean, yeah, the story was really good, and you know, the depiction of the Mongols and the invasion and all, and of course the Ikishima expansion is very good as well. And Burley, you can attest to that. You played, you know, those. So,
I played through that
Yeah.
game twice on the original
Nice.
version of PS4, and then when they had the director's cut, they had my money the instant the store went live for that.
Are you gonna get the
And-
PC version as well?
Oh yeah, no. I like that's the easiest bet here. Everyone knows I'm gonna buy it, and I'll do the Steam Deck video. And
They got
running it
you.
on
They got you
PC.
3 times.
Oh, happily. I'll happily for how well the game was.
Yeah, it's really good.
It was
He's gonna mod a burly figure as the main character.
Yeah, and they're already
Right.
probably in pre-production in the second game as well. So I mean, there's going to be a sequel to that. But my question is, what era is the Assassin's Creed Red going to be in? I mean, I'm wondering if that's going to be along the lines of the time frame of Ghost of Tsushima, or is it going to be more on the timeline of, say, Rise of the Ronin and like the Meiji Restoration? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see where they're going with that, and to see how well an Assassin's Creed game does, which of obviously all of the Assassin's Creed games except for Origins have primarily been in the European theater. I mean, where are they gonna take this game? I mean, how successful of a game is this going to be? I'm really excited to see that. I mean, you know, with Ubisoft and how they run with this game. So
I think with Assassin's Creed Red or the Japan one, they said that there'll be that black samurai character Yasuke or whatever his name is.
yes,
So I'd probably be around that era, whenever
Right.
that was.
Yeah, that was
Maybe.
yeah, in the Edo Jedi, Edo period. So
Yeah, so probably
so, yeah.
it's a era game for Assassin's Creed.
Which that'll be interesting, because how well will that sell? Because there's so many different games, particularly out here in Japan, based on the Edo period. So I mean, it's just saturated with those types of games, the Nobunaga games, and you know, things like that. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Rise of the Ronin, because there's not much like fever or like stuff going on about the game in Japan. So I wonder how it will sell. I don't think it will be like a massive like big hit or anything like that, but hopefully it sells decently as like a Koei Tecmo game. But I don't think it'll be nothing massive. Yeah.
How do you feel about it not launching in Korea? I mean, I put a video out about that, and I mean, you know, I think players should have the chance to play it. I understand, you know, how the governments feel about the particular historical aspects of it all, but I mean, go ahead. Yes.
I think Sony are trying to like grow their relationships in Korea, like with Shift Up and some other Korean companies. So I think they just don't want to damage those kind of relationships, and especially in the PR side, this looks bad. Especially with all the historical context of between the two countries, they don't want to flame up any kind of controversy. So it's probably just the safest option.
And especially the elements within the game too. You know, you have the Shinsengumi and all of that as well. So it's gonna be interesting. So
it's a sensitive.
it's a sensitive issue, but it's interesting. There's comments all over like YouTube as well. Like there was one, well, the Koreans should just come out with their own historical type of game, you know, and how they depict Japan and all. But then again, that would be another sensitive topic, and it would just
Well,
open a can
you're
of
just
worms.
going tit for
Unfortunately,
tat, and everyone's going to be doing that.
yeah. So, but
Just don't make a game about the Portuguese, man. There's a lot of dirt on us, so don't make one.
no, you just watch Shogun. I mean, that's all you have to do. Yeah, you get the dirt on the Portuguese in Shogun. We'll be talking about that. But Burley and Fubu, any questions for Genki on state of gaming in Japan?
Yeah, I got one. I got one for you. You have to see that I have this vision about the Japanese, especially their culture. So I don't want to hurt any sensibility if I say something wrong. But I see the Japanese people and culture as very reserved. You know, me growing up, I used to, when I wanted to play games, we'd go to cyber cafes and we'd play Counter-Strike all together. We'd go to each other's houses to play FIFA, do FIFA tournaments. If there was, even if it was a single player game, we would take turns, like you died, now it's my turn. We did that a lot with GTA, where you just go and mess everything up. And when you die, my question is, the idea again that I have, that you are very reserved culture. When you were growing up, and I know you look a little bit younger than me, so maybe you're more in on the new technological, where you do everything online. But when you were growing up, did you have the experience of going to other people's house? I know you told a little while ago that your first experience was the Nintendo with a friend. But did you had like every weekend go to a friend's house or have a group of friends get together and play together, like next to each other, couch play, like they say in the US, couch play next to each other? Did you have that experience? Because I had that, and I had a blast with my friend when I was younger, and I'm kind of sad of seeing these games nowadays very focused online, like Helldivers. It would be great to play Helldivers all together in one room and communicating with each other. Now it's all online. It feels a bit lonely, at least for me. How was it for you growing up as a gamer? Did you play with friends? How was your experience with that?
Oh, okay. For me, I grew up in the UK. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a bit more. Yeah,
You
you
see?
go to the friend's house and play some games, like in the West. Yeah. But I think in Japan, I think kids play, like you often see kids in the park and they're all playing on the Switches in like together.
Yeah.
So I think kids like with the Switch will do that. But as you get older, it'll probably be less and less people visiting each other's house to play games like couch co-op games. But they might have play like party games like Mario Party or those kind of stuff.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Because that's the thing. Like, okay, I do understand kids are kids and they go together, but I remember I was on my 20s, or even nowadays I'm almost 30. I went to a friend's house and we were playing Fortnite together. Like my best friend, we were playing Fortnite. I was on his computer. We was someone somewhere else in the house, and we were playing together. But even nowadays, like the more sports fanatics, which, well, I am one of them, but I like to play alone because I'm a sore loser. But they end up getting together, even older people, and they just came together. And well, from what I'm understanding, that doesn't happen with Japanese culture. There's not that much people like older getting together to. Maybe they're working all the time. Maybe that's a problem.
Yeah, but you have to understand, Fubu. I mean, here in Japan, many people now play mobile games, and so they have their busy lives, and they're like on the trains, and they're playing their games like their Switches or their mobile devices and things like that. So even kids, especially when it comes to elementary school age kids and stuff, in the park, yeah, they're playing with their Switches or they're doing stuff together. But online is also very big here in Japan as well. I mean, especially with like Splatoon and playing those types of multiplayer games, co-op games, things like that. So, in this day and age, you don't really have to be together sitting on a couch to play. So, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
anyway.
it's completely and it's understandable, but it's one of those things. I was curious because again, like I mentioned at the start of this part, I see the Japanese culture is very reserved. I wanted to know how was the connection between gamers, and it's still here. We still have like we talk to each other like face to face and try to play next to each other, especially closer friends. But yeah, in Japan is more internet based nowadays and phones,
Yeah.
and they don't get together. That's a shame.
Yeah. Burley, any questions for Genki on Japanese gaming?
What do you think of the indie scene in Japan? Like, because over here in North America, it's been growing and growing. How's it in Japan?
Okay. Indie scene, yeah. Yeah, as you said, like in America, it's really popular, but in the Japan, it's been less popular. I think less like game developers are willing to take that jump to like that risk to like leave their company and start their own thing. So that's an issue. So like most of the indie games are quite small, but there are a few, and it has been growing a lot in the last like year or two. So that's good to see. I think before like that Sakuna Rise of Ruin was like a really
Mhm.
good example of like a Japanese indie game doing really well. But now we're getting more and more examples. We have like Power World, which exploded around the world.
Oh yeah.
And but yeah, I'd say compared to the West, the indie scene is still very small and nowhere near as big as the Western indie scene. But it is growing more and more each year.
Yeah, and at TGS too, it's been growing as well.
Mm.
I mean, I remember one year that I went Makuhari Messe, they had one whole building dedicated to the indie developers. So yeah, I mean it is growing. But my question, Genki, is how much longer is console gaming going to be a thing here? With the Switch is kind of a hybrid device. More and more people now are playing on PC or a mobile. So I mean, how much longer do you think consoles will be viable out here as a purchase option in the Japanese market?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think Japanese people have the market has showed that is not interested in like dedicated home console gaming or like
Yeah,
high definition like super HD graphics.
yeah,
So that they're more interested in like the fun experiences or like portable or
yeah,
like more robust. Like you can do like a hybrid, like you can do docked or mobile.
mhm,
So that's where the market is moving or has moved already. And
yeah,
that's, I think, why the PlayStation software sales are struggling at the moment. And then, like, yeah, PlayStation has also moved its focus away from Japan. So, yeah, in terms of that's probably also the reason Xbox don't try as hard as I would like them to.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
like yeah, that like the console gaming is like I really love it. Like that's one of my favorite forms of
yeah,
gaming, like sitting on
yeah,
the couch or having a big
yeah,
TV. But
yeah,
it's not really that popular in Japan, and it's becoming less and less popular each year due to mobile and Japanese lifestyles. So yeah, it's kind of sad to see yeah, with the PlayStation being so expensive, it's really hard for Japanese people to get into the ecosystem.
yeah,
And yeah, the console market, dedicated home console market, is like really like kind of dying or like suffering a lot from
yeah,
it and becoming very niche.
right,
At the moment. Yeah, they stopped printing the PlayStation magazines at the beginning of
yeah,
this gen.
yeah,
I think with Final Fantasy Rebirth was like the last cover issue of like the
yeah,
official PlayStation magazine in Japan. They
yeah,
still have lots of
But
a few
that's
Switch
sad.
magazines. Yeah, yeah. So,
yeah,
but PlayStation has really gone down hill, and yeah, it's kind of like Japanese lifestyle and preferences have moved to mobile so much,
yeah,
and PlayStation have taken their focus away from Japan. So, yeah, I think a dedicated console is not that much of a viable mass like population product or like mass market product in Japan at the
yeah,
moment because of
yeah.
those changes. Yeah, well, I was interested in what you think about that as well, expat.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and it was interesting when the PlayStation 5 first came out and saw what a humongous beast of a console box that thing is. And I mean, it's like how space is so limited in Japan. You know, apartment sizes are so small here, and you know, it's very hard to fit something like that, you know, into like your entertainment center, if you even have one. So I mean, that was less appealing, I think, to a lot of Japanese consumers. And when it comes to the Xbox, I think the S, the Series S that you have, I think that was a good strategy by Xbox because the S is quite small compared to the PlayStation 5. So in that respect. But yeah, I mean, it's becoming more of a niche market. And I'll give you an example. My son, I mean, I introduced him obviously to the PlayStation 4 and we had his first console. I mean, I hate to say this, but we had a Wii U before the Wii came. After the Wii, we had the Wii U. We played the Wii U a little bit, and then of course the PlayStation 4. But then when he got his first cell phone, it was game over. I mean, it was all cell phone stuff after that, and then he got into Apex. When it came to PC gaming and stuff like that, he was really into Apex and Valorant. And now he doesn't play
Apex
games.
is massive in Japan. Yeah.
Oh yes.
I love playing Apex.
Yeah, and so, but now because he's in his final year of university, starting in April, he'll be fourth year, so he doesn't have any time for games. He's looking for an internship and all. So, but yeah, it's just the demand is just not there anymore because.
I'd like to ask you about like your comparison because you were there at the original launch of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
and you're here now. Like,
yeah,
I'd like to hear compare and contrast like the.
It's like night and day. I mean, when it comes to like Final Fantasy and console gaming, I mean, it was so big back then. You had the competition between PlayStation. You had Sega. Sega was still making consoles. You had Nintendo. I mean, the three big ones. Xbox wasn't really around yet, so I mean everybody had a console back then, and now it's completely different. I mean, everything's just dominated by mobile. I mean, back then, mobile devices were like the big, like the little flip type of phones with the text messages. That's all you could do on
like
them.
this.
Well, that's a little bit a little bit before, but I mean, I think Genki, you know what I'm talking about.
Case?
Yeah, what's in that case, Burley? Yeah,
I'll show you. It's gonna make Fubu mad, though.
Drum roll.
Oh yeah, let's go.
I have that too,
Hey.
Fubu.
I have the
Mine's
portal
bigger.
as well.
Mine's
Burley.
bigger.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth works really good on the portal because it's not like a Twitch-based, like timing-based game.
Yeah.
If you're doing timing-based games, it kind of sucks on the portal. But if it's like a turn-based game, it works really well.
Yeah. But when it comes to the flip phones, you remember those, Genki? Yeah, the Dokamos, and the flip phones that they used to have, with just the text messages and all, and then. Then when the others, the newer ones came out, it just started, taking off. So, yeah, it's big stuff. Yeah. And of course, the PlayStation Vita was popular. But I wish they'd make a Vita 2, but,
I think they're going to do something. Sorry, I'm searching for something, but I read something that they're going to do a new Vita in the future, like in 2 years. They might do a new Vita. Oh, by the way, I want to show you guys this.
Yeah.
I just want to show you guys this. See this?
Yeah, we see
the
it.
brick.
Yeah.
The original one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking for my Vita. I don't know where it is, but I do have a Vita here. I actually have two.
I was saying the only way that Sony can gain back some of that market is if they do like a hybrid system, like
the Switch,
like the Switch, because otherwise I don't see them clawing back that market, especially with the Switch 2. If the Switch 2 can play all the popular third-party games, it's just gonna eat away at PlayStation's market even more. in
Yeah,
Japan.
that's true.
So it's going to be like, as you said, night and day between like PlayStation in when the original Final Fantasy VII came out and PlayStation now with Rebirth. It's just like a completely different world.
Yeah,
which
that
is
was
just
just after the PlayStation took off, and the Kutaragi song and making the PlayStation, and you had the war between Sega and Nintendo. I'll always remember that. I mean, Nintendo basically they had that deal for the optical drives and all, and then they just turned around and basically left Sony in the dust. And then Sony was like, okay, we're going to make the PlayStation. And then it took off.
it did really well because it's super cheap to put, and you could put a lot more data. So developers wanted to, at least Square wanted to make the Final Fantasy on PlayStation.
And there's still a few of those original like Nintendo PlayStations floating out there in the wild too, that they were developing together. And it just fell apart. I mean, Nintendo. I mean, what were you thinking? I mean, you just created a beast. When it came to PlayStation. Yeah, I mean, because when the PlayStation 1 came out, it took off. And then Sega just, the first E3, and you had Steve Race come on stage, $300. Boom. It's like, and then Sega was just like, oh God, no. It just they crushed Sega, and Sega got out. Of course, they made the Dreamcast and all, but then they got out of the console making market and just went third party. So
the funny thing was with the Nintendo and Sony thing is they didn't like that Sony was going to get more of the sales on the disc, but then they went to Philips and made a system and let Philips have the majority of the sales on the disc software there. It's like, so you were okay with it when it was Philips, but Sony, no.
But they went behind their backs, Burley. They went behind their backs right at E3.
I know that. And Ken Kutaragi went back into Sony and said, they just backstab us. We need to get them back. We need to go to war and all that.
Yeah.
And that they didn't. They just, they fired back at Nintendo.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out, of course, to my man Lord Cognito and those over at Iron Lords. And I remember Genki, you guys were talking about, and I know Cog, he's a big Sega guy, and they were talking about, the Sega, when it came to the creation of Sonic, and that's really interesting because the Japanese at Sega, in Sega of Japan, they created the original Sonic, and then they faxed it over to Sega of America. And Sega of America looked at it and they're like, this doesn't look good for the American market. It needs to look more cool and all, because at that time, Sega of America was trying to gain market share over Nintendo, which was, of course, killing it, for years. I mean, Nintendo was on top, right? And so they wanted in the United States, they wanted to market Sega as being the cool system that the high school kids and the early college age kids are playing and everything. And, you had those commercials, Sega, and so they wanted to make it all cool. So they had some artists make up another design of Sonic. And then they faxed it back over to Japan, and the Japanese executives were like, what is this? And they're like, all right, go ahead. Go for it. And then boom, it took off. It took off in the United States, obviously, and Sega gained the market share. But then obviously you had the wars between the Sega Corporation of America and Sega of Japan. And when it came to the Saturn, the Sega of Japan was like, get it out. And, Sega of America was like, let's wait. We're making so much and we're doing so well. And the Genesis is so successful. Nope, get the Saturn out. And then the Saturn didn't do as well. And then, of course, later on, the Dreamcast was their final console. But by then, PlayStation had already taken off. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great time. And there's a really good book. It's called Console Wars. And it goes it goes into that part of the design phase of Sonic the Hedgehog, and the drawings of the original Japanese designers, and then faxing it over to the US. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, just watching these designers look at the Sonic, that came over from Japan. It's like, oh, we have to redesign this. We have to make it look cooler, So, but yeah, that's how it went down, and it worked out for Sega of America for sure. And those marketing campaigns they did, back in the early 90s, man, they were marketing it like in politics, making the other side look like they're out of step. They're the Marios, they're for the little kiddies, for the 5 and 6 year olds, whereas Sonic, and these games are for the cool high school and college age kids and stuff like that. And it
Last
worked.
processing.
It worked.
Yeah. No, it did work because even
in America,
in Europe,
it worked,
no, but even in Europe, like again, I live in an island. It's really small, so I don't have the comparison from the mainland. But they always looked at Mario more like a child's game, and Sonic was more of the adult theme. And I remember that I started as a Mario fan. When I was a kid, I wasn't a Super Mario fan. But then when I started growing older, I started playing more Sonic because it was more adult. It felt like that. I used to have a Master System too, which was about at the same time of the Genesis or something like that. I don't know the timeline, but I remember playing that one, and I would play after I had that one. I stopped playing Super Mario because I was a big boy now. I was playing Sonic and other Sega games, and only on the last few years I came back to Nintendo to play the Pokemons, and even Super Mario nowadays. The last one that I really played hard was Odyssey, but that's an amazing game. But I don't touch Mario that much. I would rather touch more Sonic than Mario because I have that thing from my childhood that Sonic is for the big boys.
Yeah, but I mean, Nintendo, they just, they when you think of video games and when you think of Japan, you think of Nintendo. What's interesting about Nintendo is, back in the late 19th century, they were a card trading company. They traded cards, like trump cards and things like that. And just to see where they've gone, and with Iwata-san running things, and just the culture that they have there, and what they've created with like two franchises, Mario and Zelda, and what they've done with it. It's just amazing what they've done out here. So Genki, my question to you is Konami. Konami is more, fitness centers and pachinko machines and things like that. What kind of future do you see for Konami? Of course, obviously Kojima left on a pretty sour note there to form Kojima Productions. But Konami's still making games and all. What kind of future do you see for them in the third party scene?
Yeah, I think they will continue as they're doing now. They're more like reserved in terms of like making like AAA games, and they are like the handing it off to like the outsourced studios with all those games. In Japan, they're doing really well with the Momotaro Dentetsu game. Like the one selling like crazy in Japan, so they're happy with that, and they're doing good with all like the pachinko, as you said, and the health clubs and stuff, and the other investments. So I think they're just going to continue like slowly, but I think they are trying to get more into like AAA gaming, but I think it will take a while. And these outsourced projects, I think they'll do okay, but I don't think they will be like that critically well received. We'll see. I like how they do, but it's at least they're trying to make games again somehow.
Somehow.
Look, what I want from Konami is I want Vandal Hearts 1 on the PlayStation Plus, so I can platinum that game. That's one of my favorite games from Konami, from the original PlayStation 1. I want that one. And they have one of the best IPs in the world with Metal Gear, and it's just letting rot. They could be making so much money with that game. They had, for example, another Metal Gear games from Konami that could be on the PS Plus. I don't know if you guys ever played, probably yes, Metal Gear Acid 1 and 2. Those games are crazy good. Like, they're crazy good. The way I got that game was my cousin gave to me on the time on the PSP. It was like, oh, I thought it was like the PlayStation 1 game. So here, I don't want to play this. Like, what is this? And I didn't knew about that Metal Gear. And when I started playing, like, the stealth with the cards moving like turn-based, that was so good. And they could definitely put that on PC to work on the Steam Deck, where you can go with your fingers. That would be great. You can put it on the Switch to go on the go. They couldn't even blasphemy again, but they can make it as an Android game where you just monetize the packs to get better cards. They have the mother load there, and they're not taking advantage, and that's very sad that they're focusing on other stuff instead of the gaming itself.
Yeah.
Well, they're still heavily with Metal Gear. They had last year. You had the collection. They are involved with Metal Gear 3, the remake there, Delta Snake. So they're still doing it. Like, could they be doing better with it? Oh yeah, and they could be doing more. But Konami, they know what they want at this point. They're doing what they want to do, and at least I'll give them credit that at least for the most part, these collections they are putting out. Like, I haven't tried the Metal Gear one, but like, they've been doing so good with the Castlevania collections, where they put them at a good price and they work well and have all these little features and stuff like that to get people to get into these games and try them out.
Mm-hmm. No, but
Genki, I have I'm sorry, Fubu. I need to move on here, but I have a question for Genki. Mikami Shinji-san, of course, he left Tango. Where do you expect to see him turn up next? And do you think we'll ever get Psycho Break 3?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be in that game. But yeah, I went to a talk with Shinji Mikami and Hideki Kamiya recently. And yeah, it was really cool to see what they're doing. They're both free agents at the moment, since they both quit the companies that they started. So what he'll be doing next, I think it won't be like a new Resident Evil game or anything big. I think he said like he's not really interested in doing those kind of massive AAA games. So he'll probably be doing something on a lot smaller scale. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what exactly that will be. But yeah, it won't be like a new Resident Evil or anything big, or it'll probably be something new and smaller. Yeah, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, kind of like Nakamura Ikumi-san and what she's doing now with her new studio. I think probably it'll be along the lines of that, maybe. But
yeah, it could be something like that.
Yeah, and she's hiring too. I mean, on Twitter, she's been posting like job postings and things like that for her studio. So I'm really excited to see what she has coming down the pipeline as well. So yeah, all right. Fubu, Burley, any other questions you have? Fubu, did you want to say anything else from previously, or?
No, I'm just enjoying the learning, because you're talking about a lot of history. Because those 90s, I remember the ads from the 90s for Nintendo and the Sega and stuff. I do have a faint idea, but I don't remember that. So I was enjoying, because one of the subjects that I used to love at school was history, and learning about this, for especially, I don't want to say you're old expat, but learning from someone that was there with a lot of recollection. I was a kid back then. It's really
Fubu, you're just a baby compared to me, man.
I have a question as well. You see, like the decline of PlayStation in Japan. What do you think are the main factor, or what do you think is like the main reason behind that? Is it like because for me, I see like there's two things. There's like the Japanese market moving away from console gaming, and there's also PlayStation moving away from like having more Western focus. What do you think of which is like the main reason?
Well, yeah, the Western development as well, but I think also pricing.
Mhm.
And it's like they've raised the prices, as you know, Genki, out here in Japan twice, I think now.
Yeah, two
PlayStation.
times.
Yeah, it's just people don't want to spend that kind of money, and as you know, I mean, with salaries and things the way things are at the moment, it's they don't want to fork out, rokumang yen, for a console. So
Yeah, it's like $600 in terms of
yeah,
like people's
yeah,
living wages and stuff, or like
yeah,
equivalent.
yeah. What do you guys think, Fubu, Burley? How about you? Yeah. The factor.
Yeah. No, I agree on that. Like, there's still people over here in Canada. Like, I know people that want a PS5 per se, but they're like, I now have to, because over here in Canada, you're spending $700 just on the box to get it. Not to mention, if you're buying a PS5 game day one, it's $101. Like Rebirth, the base edition, is $101 over here. So you start adding that up, and even though like some of the games have gone cheaper now, like you can get God of War Ragnarok cheaper, and you can get 16 on cheaper from time to time if you shop around and look. The cost, the barrier to entry is so high, and it's like, do I have that money that I really want to afford and drop and get this right now, or can I play with what I already have? And I've been seeing more and more people being like, you know what? I already got 13 games on the backlog that I bought that I started an hour in for this amount of money. Let's just go back to what I have and do that. And we're still, even though there are a lot of games coming for next gen only, there's still so many games coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and everything else. So it's like, why jump in if I don't have to?
Yeah.
For me, it's the ecosystem. I think it's too many things for the ecosystem that scares people away. Because PlayStation, if you want to play on the go, get the Portal, but you want the best sound quality, so you have these special phones, and all of a sudden you spend like 1,500 euros. I'm going to say 1,500 euros just like that, and I'm not including the game. And if you have someone that you want to play with the couch co-op, it's more than 60 euros for the controller. So it's, for me, it's, people start looking at it and they see, no, that's too much. I just want I think the best deal right now in the world, from what I'm seeing, it's an Xbox and the Game Pass, because you get great recent games. It's a great console. I know I shit on it a lot, but I know it's a great console. I would love to have one at home so I could play some of their exclusives. Not
buy an S.
Now I'm not. So sorry.
Buy the Series S. That's what I have. I don't have the S.
Exactly. No, I could. And again, I already
Small,
have
tiny
so
box.
much. Exactly. And I already have so much stuff here. I can't have a big console, and a small one would be great in my room. Maybe if I get a bigger room, I would have more space for a bigger console. And I think because the ecosystem on the Xbox is not that big. It's the console, the controller, and the Game Pass, and you're done. You literally don't need to. If you wanted to play Persona, like in February, console, Game Pass, and it's done. You have Persona. You don't need to buy the game. I think Xbox is giving one of the best deals out there. And I think Sony is going the wrong way, focusing on ecosystem because they want to sell everything around. I think they should focus more on service, improve PlayStation Plus, for the love of God.
Yeah, Genki, I was at Yodobashi yesterday. It's my usual Saturday walk to Yodobashi, and I was like going through, the as I've said before, the Xbox section's like, in the far corner of the gaming and the esports section. And it's like, I saw one person, he was standing there, he was looking at the Xbox stuff. They have all the Game Pass, everything's all Game Pass, and they've got a photo of Pal World, up there and stuff. Yeah. 10 seconds, he walks away.
was gonna say, did he get lost?
And
Was he
it's
supposed
just,
to-
you know, I'm like, just that's how it is, man. I mean, it's just people just it's this narrow focus of it's either PlayStation or Nintendo, you know, and there's like 3 aisles of Nintendo stuff, of, you know, 2 aisles of PlayStation stuff, and then on the other side is the esports and the PC gaming stuff. But yeah, just in the corner, yeah, he's like walking around the corner. He stops, he looks. I'm just watching. I'm like, is he gonna consider buying something here? 10 seconds gone. So that's just the way it is out here with Xbox, you know. But yeah, unfortunately. But all right, so the state of Japanese gaming. So lots of fun stuff to talk about. And one last thing about Final Fantasy. Back in 1997, every single half hour on TV commercials, there were Final Fantasy VII commercials. Yes, everything. Yes, and I don't know if you remember these, Genki. Do you remember the Tamagotchis?
Oh, yeah, Tamagotchi.
They were huge back in 1997. It was either a Tamagotchi or Final Fantasy
on
VII.
TV. Oh, that's awesome.
We'd call it Tamagotchi in Portuguese. That's how we would call it.
Yeah, good old Tamagotchi. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah.
The marketing for Rebirth has been good, but it's nothing like those Final Fantasy VII levels. Back in the day.
In the day, it's huge. Good stuff. Yeah, I miss those days, and they had like the Yahoo Cafe out there in Akihabara back then. You know, used to go there once in a while. It's good stuff. Oh, and one other thing about when you were on the Iron Lords podcast, you were talking about the Sega worlds. You know, right outside my mansion building here, right across the street, there's a Gigo.
Oh, it's a Gigo.
It used to be the Sega World. Yeah, now they changed the name to Gigo. Yeah,
all the Sega signs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I talked about it on the Iron Lords with Lord Cog, because he's a big Sega fan.
Yeah. So it's like we used to have it used to be the Sega, you know, logo was on that building for the longest time. It was a big Sega World.
I think I broke his heart when I told him about Sega.
Yeah, it did. I watched that. I remember. Yeah. So, it's good stuff.
I felt bad, but it's just Sega's not as visible. But yeah,
it's called Gigo now. So okay, so it's time to get to our new release game picks of the week. So each and every week from releases.com, we pick a game from those weekly releases. So this week, the week of March 11th through the 17th. So you can go to www.releases.com and check out all the games that are releasing this week through the month of March and beyond. So Genki, I'm going to let you go first. And this game was released last Friday. I think last Friday or Thursday. I think it was. But anyway, this game you picked from releases.com. So Unicorn Overlord. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. I'm not so familiar with this game, but it does look really interesting to me, and it's like a strategy game mixed with a kind of it's made by Atlas, and the kind of what's it like, the visual novel kind of thing as well, mixed together with a strategy game. So that looks really interesting. And apparently some of the character designs are like quite revealing as well, like really anime style stuff. But it looks really cool. I really like the designs, the character designs, and the variety and the strategy game element to it. And I think it's made by the same people that made 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. So it seems like a really interesting game from those guys. So that's the game that most caught my eye out of the new releases coming soon, and it did review really well in the West as well. I think it's like a 88 on Metacritic. So it looks like a really cool, and there is a demo available. So I haven't tried it out yet because I've just been playing Rebirth. But
I feel you. I
have to try it. The demo too. But this game looks really cool. Because I'm a big Fire Emblem fan as well, so it has some kind of like strategic elements like Fire Emblem as well. So that's really interesting for me.
Nice. Okay, Burley, you're up next. What do you have for us?
My pick of the week is Eve Eve is a 2D exploration adventure game set in a creepy, mysterious art gallery. Inspect the area around you, discovering items and disarming traps to find your way out of the strange gallery. So it is coming Thursday, March 14th to PS4 and PS5, but it is also out on PC and Switch.
Hmm.
So just try,
Nice.
just
Is it?
going around.
This is like
Sorry?
is this a Japanese indie game or I don't know?
I can't remember I believe it is Japanese made. I don't know if it is indie though,
Oh, okay.
but I would
That's really cool.
imagine so. Just give me a sec. I'm just trying.
Yeah, I saw some like I've seen some like screenshots of this, and it did look quite interesting. Before.
It is an
Yeah,
indie company in Japan. Yeah,
yeah. So
play
that's quite
them.
cool. Yeah, because the indie scene, you don't usually see that many indie games go out into the West from Japan, but yeah, this is a good example of one of them.
Yeah, 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 and the art style too, and everything. So, yeah, PS4. There you go, Burley. PS4. Why get a PS5? You can play it on PS4.
Yeah.
All
Nice
right.
pick.
Yeah. Okay, my pick of the week. Actually, Fubu, you're up next. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Embark on an epic adventure that leads you through a beautiful isometric open world with detailed, high-definition visuals. Rainbow Moon is a role-playing game with a strong emphasis on exploration, character development, and turn-based battles. Customize 6 playable main characters with upgradable weapons, armor, and accessories. About 120 special skills and more than 20 challenging dungeons await in a fascinating story that lasts over 40 epic hours. Cursed by his arch rival, Baldren finds himself trapped to Rainbow Moon. To make matters worse, Baldren isn't only stranded in an unknown place, he's also open dimensional gate out of which troops of monsters are crawling, turning this once peaceful planet into a living hell. There's only one thing for our brave hero to do. He must seal the gate and wrap himself back to his home planet before it's too late. It comes out Friday, March the 15th to the Switch. Why did I choose this game? This game already came out many, many, many years ago. I'm going to say about 10 years ago on the PS3, PS4, PS Vita. And I used to play this game while I was doing the graveyard shift. And I have great memories of this game. It is,
And you
like
fell
I said,
asleep during that time, right? Yeah, during your
no.
graveyard shift. Yeah,
No,
okay.
well, on the previous ones, maybe. I won't
Okay.
go into that. We're talking about games, not work, please. Please. No, but I used to play a lot this game because they allowed me to play. Now, seriously, they allowed me to play because they would rather me playing than sleeping or getting bored. So I was allowed to do that. And I played this game for many, many hours. It is a hard game. There is some grinding aspect. You have quests, you have side quests. It's isometric. It's a turn-based game. It is a good, fun game, hard. And you do have a sequel, which is Rainbow Skies, which is not related. And it is a shame they never made the third one because this had potential to go on the road of the Personas and Final Fantasies of each game is independent with its own story. You don't need to correlate. And the graphics, I'm not going to say chibi-like, but again, being isometric, you can see from the top, it's graphics that hold on nowadays. They don't look old. So I really suggest, and it will be cheap. Like I said, 10 years old, this game should be cheap. It's something that you want to play on the go. You should try it out. This I really tried and played so many hours. I think I plat this game, to be honest, and it's worth the time. It's fun.
All right. Okay. So I am up next, and my pick of the week. So let me go ahead and get that up. So that's the partner preview. So why is that up again?
That's your pick of the week. The whole Xbox partner preview.
Yes.
I don't think so. No. I don't know why. I don't know why that came up. So, and there's Fubu's again. Maybe mine disappeared. So anyway, I'll go ahead and read mine off. So let me go ahead and get get that off of there and back here. So my game was actually the game that we showed at the very beginning of the show, Outcast: A New Beginning. So explore the breathtaking alien world of Adelpha. Support the local Talons in their struggles and fight your way through fast-paced battles against invading robot forces in the third-person open-world action-adventure sequel to the 1999 cult classic. Outcast: A New Beginning comes out on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on March 15th. So that was my pick of the week. So you can go to releases.com and check out all of the new games that are coming out for the week of March 11th through the 17th, as well as the rest of the month of March and beyond. So www.releases.com. Let's go and check those out. So sorry about that. I don't know why. Sometimes computers do crazy things. So delete my images and delete my video files. But anyway. All right. So next up, it's time to talk about programming notes. Oh, here we go. Here we go, Fubu. So it's time to talk about some of the other stuff we have on our channel, The Arena Productions. We are not only about video games, but we're also about entertainment and pop culture. So we do Shogun. So my episode 3 breakdown of Shogun, please go and check that out. So on the FX network, as well as on Hulu and Disney Plus, you can check out the series. So episode 3, my breakdown of that episode. And I do weekly breakdown episodes of Shogun. It's a great series. Please go and check it out. And yes, I know all of you Portuguese are saying that the British are depicted as saints in this, but of course they were not saints. The Portuguese were not saints. The Japanese were not saints. Nobody is a saint.
No one's a saint. It's
so yes,
that's a fact.
But it's an amazing series. The set designs. Actually, they filmed this in just outside of Vancouver, so in Canada. But they put a lot of money into this, and it looks very, very, very well done. And the actors in this series are amazing. Of course, Sanada Hiroyuki as Toranaga-san. Of course, in the original series was Mifune Toshiro. So it's a great, great actor. I mean, I've followed Sanada Hiroyuki for a long, long time. So yeah, he's an amazing actor. Anna Sawai, who plays Toda Mariko, she's really good too. Actually, she was born in New Zealand. And of course, she's fluent in both English and Japanese. And she lives in Tokyo now. So Genki, she's close to where you are out there. So yeah, it's great stuff. So please check out Shogun if you get a chance. And also, we have breakdowns of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. So episode 5, our breakdown of The Bad Batch that I did, a weekly breakdowns of the final season of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. So those are really cool. So please check those out as well. And finally, the Halo series. I'm doing breakdown episodes each week of the Halo Season 2 episodes. So the last episode, of course, Kai and Master Chief going off and fighting each other. That was pretty cool. So go and check out my breakdowns of those. And then, of course, next month, we've got the Fallout series coming. We're going to be covering that as well. I'll be doing breakdown episodes of that, as well as the final season of Star Trek Discovery. So yeah, some good stuff. So Genki, have you played the Halo games? Any of them?
Yeah, I was a big Halo fan at the beginning, like maybe to the ODST. But after that, I haven't played the series much after that.
Yeah. It's.
I'm waiting it for come on PlayStation.
No, it's probably that series is probably not coming to PlayStation. We'll see, but I would bet some cases of spiritual opium it's not going to come. Yeah. So Genki, I don't know if you understand what we mean by spiritual opium. Cases of spiritual opium. There was a story in the Chinese media a few years ago about children being addicted to games, and so the media came out with a story about children being, like it was like being hooked on spiritual opium. Yeah, and so there's been a crackdown. Of course, the Chinese government's trying to crack down on gaming, obviously, and so we make a running joke of it here on this podcast about betting on cases of spiritual opium because, yeah, all of us hardcore gamers, we need our spiritual opium. Yeah, so good stuff. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, those were our programming notes. So before we end the show, let's talk about the games that we're going to be playing this coming week. I'm going to be playing Ishing. Genki, I probably have a good idea what you're going to be playing this coming week. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Still making my way through Rebirth. I haven't got to the end yet, so I'm just gonna still be playing that.
How many hours have you put into it now?
Close to like 40 hours
40.
so far.
Okay.
Yeah, so still got a way to go.
Chapter 8, right?
Because yeah, and yeah, I completed the first 2 areas. Like I did everything, but yeah, now I just want to see what like the end because there's so many twists and stuff. So it's like really cool.
Cool. And Genki, where can people find you on social media, man?
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, you can find me mainly on Twitter. My account is Genki_JPN, and I'm just tweeting all the time about Japanese games and Final Fantasy. Recently,
I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you do it. It's like I've seen like 40,000+ tweets, man. I mean, it's like it's like almost every hour of the day. It's like, do you ever sleep, man? How do you do it, man?
Yeah. Tweeting too much, to be honest.
It's the grind. It's the grind.
Yeah, it's the grind. I also have a YouTube channel, which is Genki Gamer on YouTube, and I do like usually video tours of like different events or video game stores in Japan. So yeah, check that out as well, please. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show today. It's fun.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's awesome to have you on again, and we gotta hook up for TGS, man, and do some stuff and maybe collaborate on some stuff on YouTube and everything else. So yeah, looking forward to meeting you in person. So yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. That'd be cool.
Yeah, good stuff. Burley, what are you going to be playing this week?
I'll be playing some Rebirth, obviously, but on my off time, when I'm not streaming, play a little bit more, finish up Dragon's Dogma 1 because I'm like over halfway through it, and I just want to finish it up before Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out.
Nice. And Fubu, you're still playing Rebirth, right? Still.
I'm gonna be honest. This week I'm gonna sleep to compensate all the sleep I didn't have last week. No, I will. So what I'm doing is, since I finished the storyline, I'm gonna explore because I shoot through some areas just to get to the end. I'm gonna do the mini games. Basically, I'm gonna plat this game. That's the objective. I'm $200. I'm gonna plat this game. The biggest challenge is gonna be the hard mode, like it was on the remake. The hard mode is going to be very hard, that's the name, especially because of the challenges, the Charlie challenges and the arenas. I'll be focusing on that. I'm grinding at this moment, getting gear, understand the character, because you need to understand how each character is different. You have to understand what they're strong and weak against. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be focusing. That, sleeping, and Ever Crisis. Yes, I'm still playing Ever Crisis. It's the half anniversary.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for Rise of the Ronin, so I'm still just playing Ishing to get ready for Ronin, so looking forward to that. So all right, so to end our show, of course, we always do a Indie Recording Artist Spotlight and an outro with music. So this week's Spotlight is on Balloon Planet. Balloon Planet is a Hungarian-Slovak duo based in Prague that has been creating music together since their teenage years. Inspired by the shared harmony and joy of their lives, they create clean, distraction-free, and versatile music to accompany life's everyday moments. From the title song of their album called Good Vibes Only. So this has been The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, episode 166. I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burleyman Gaming, Fubu87, and our very special guest, Genki Gamer. And Genki, thank you so much, and we hope to have you on again, especially around TGS time. We should do some stuff and collaborate together.
Oh yeah, for sure. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So anyway, take care, everyone. Have a great great week of gaming, and enjoy the outro. Peace out.